Sometimes energy can be made to change from one form to another instantly. Here is a solar cell panel. The solar cells on it can change sunlight into electricity. When we expose the panel to sunlight, electricity is produced immediately. Notice the needle on this voltmeter moves as sunlight strikes the panels. The voltmeter is indicating that electricity is produced. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It changes from one form to another. Some energy may be lost to friction and air resistance, but the overall amount of energy stays the same. Here is an example. Look at this setup of 5 metal balls hanging from strings of the same length. The balls are all exactly the same. What do you think will happen if we lift one ball and then release it? Pause the tape a minute and circle on your viewer guide what you think will happen. If you thought that only one ball from the end would pop out, you're correct. Notice that it goes up almost as high as the first ball and then swings back, hitting the group and sending the first ball flying again. Each time the height that the 2 balls reach is less until eventually they would stop this back and forth movement. This back and forth movement doesn't continue forever because energy is being changed to heat because of friction and air resistance. Now, let's change things a bit. This time we will release 2 balls from one side. What do you think will happen? Pause the tape and make your choice. As you can see, 2 balls from the other side bounce out. Scientists call this the conservation of energy, which simply means energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is transferred or changed from one form to another. Let's try another setup. This time we will release 3 balls from one side. There are only 2 balls left hanging straight down. What do you think will happen this time? Pause the tape and make your selection. Were you surprised by what happened? One of the balls joins the 2 so that the amount of kinetic energy is equal. Now let's change things by releasing 1 ball from each side at the same time. Pause the tape and think about what might happen. Did you expect the balls to bounce back out? As long as the strings don't get tangled, you could do this with different numbers of balls. When we lift a ball to a certain point before dropping it, we have given it potential energy. Someone has used their muscles to lift the ball against gravity to a certain height. When the ball is released, it begins to swing down. The potential or stored energy is changing to kinetic energy, or energy of motion. When the ball hits the group of balls, the energy is transferred or moved from one ball to the next until the ball on the end is pushed into the air against gravity. This ball reaches a certain height and stops. At that point, it has potential energy. Then it begins to swing down, which means potential energy is changing to kinetic energy. Look at this amusement park ride and think about how it might be another example of potential energy changing to kinetic energy, and then kinetic energy changing to potential energy, and so on, and so on. How much kinetic energy an object has depends on 2 things: how much mass the object has and how fast the object is moving.